Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Heart in the Fog. Sorry, Heart in a Fog. I'm going to fix the thumbnail afterwards. From Carmen Lambert. Now, I haven't actually played any puzzles from Carmen before, so certainly that would be a kind of a first for me and the channel. So Carmen's debut here. Now, we haven't actually seen a Megano Double 3 fog puzzle for a while, and coming across a fog puzzle, 1 star, 90% rating. I know how much you guys love fog puzzles, so this is what we're going to be looking at today. There is actually a fairly long list of rules, unusually so, not normally what we see on this channel, so I'm going to suggest we get started and have a look at all of these rule set and see how we're going to actually solve today's puzzle of Heart in a Fog by Carmen Lambert. You can see all the rules on the right hand side there, but I imagine that the font size is a little bit smaller than normal, and obviously it's down in the description below. And of course, if you click on the link, you will also see the details there. Normal Sudoku rules, very familiar. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, column and 3x3 box. We've got a grey palindrome line that reads the same forwards and backwards. You can see this cell here is peeking out towards these boxes. Now, I don't know how far these palindromes go, or this particular one in that case, but if you imagine that this happens to be the center of the palindrome, these two cells, they would have to be the same. So you can actually read it the same forwards or backwards. So for example, that could be a double 2, if assuming this is at the middle here. Adjacent digits along a green German whisper line must have a difference of at least 5. So if this cell, for example, is an 8, its neighbors, which are these two cells, would have to be 1, 2, or 3 for it to essentially be able to fit inside the 8. For it to be 5 or more away from the 8. Notice how I'm oscillating between low digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, high digits, 6, 7, 8, 9, and back to low digits, 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, if the German whisper line was a bit longer, this would be a very useful trick. Digits along the magenta renban form a set of consecutive non-repeating digits in any order. This is a little bit tricky to demonstrate actually, so I'm going to start drawing some lines here. If you imagine that this is a magenta renban line of 5 cells, you basically need to fill it with 5 consecutive digits without any repeats. Something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would absolutely work. One thing that I couldn't do is have, let's say, a double 2 in here. It looks like it's allowed under normal Sudoku, but of course that wouldn't be under a renban because I'm repeating digits. It has to be 5 consecutive digits on this 5-cell renban with no repeats. What else do we have? This could have been a light orange line, which is a parity line, or a dark orange Dutch line, which is, I'm going to give this a go. So if you imagine that this wasn't magenta and this was the light orange line, yeah, I would make the argument that this is light orange as opposed to yellow. Essentially, that's going to be a parity line. So if this is even, as is the case with 2, this would be odd, then even. This wouldn't be even anymore. This would be odd, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, etc., etc. So digits along a light orange parity line must alternate between odds and even. Now, it could have been a darker line here, where it wasn't a light orange, but a dark orange, something that looks like this. And it's very similar to German whispers, except the difference is actually going to be 4 or more. So next to the 2, that would allow 6, 7, 8, or 9. You have to be careful about the fact that it doesn't necessarily have to oscillate between low and high digits. I could get away with a 9, a 5, and a 1. In essence, rather than the alternating digits now being low digits, you can see I've kind of reversed the polarity by using the digit 5, which is allowed on Dutch whispers. Digits along each arrow must sum to the digits in a circled cell. This is getting a bit tricky here. I'm drawing a lot of things. So if you imagine that this is, it's going to look something as such, where there's an arrowhead somewhere, there's an arrow attached to that arrowhead, and then there is a circle in there. And essentially the sum of the cells have to be equal to what's inside the circle. So if these two cells are equal to 6, this would have to be a 3, so that the sum is equal to the 9 that's written inside the circle. Right, the rest of it is thankfully... No, not entirely. Dear oh dear. I'm kind of regretting having to go through all of these rules now, but we're going to keep going. Cells, there's along each, yeah, we covered arrow sums. Cells filled with a circle must be odd. So these two cells that are filled with a circle, a gray circle here, must be odd. So 2 wouldn't be allowed here as an example. A black dot between cell values indicates cell values with a 2-to-1 ratio. So this 2 on this black dot would essentially have to be 1 or 4, so that one cell is double the other. These two cells, however, would have to be consecutive. So I've essentially come up with an impossible case here, because if this is 8, this would have to be 7 or 9. Digits and cages do not repeat and sum to the clue in the top left. So these two cells have to add up to 9. If this is 1, 2, 3, this would be, where am I struggling with this? 6, 7, 8. Right, and then the last clue here is this one, the little killer clue. It's saying essentially that these two cells have to add up to 12. So one way of doing so would be 3 and 9, and I can keep going with my examples, 6 and 1, etc., to essentially complete this box. Right, that's a lot of rules, but as always, if you want to play along, link will be in the description down below for you to do so. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. Kind of 6-minute intro, fairly unusual for me. So I'm going to just very quickly color this. You see, I know that German whispers, whilst I do not know what the parity is, I know will oscillate. I also know that in a 9 cage, with the exception of 4, 5, which is not allowed on a German whisper line, if there is a 5 in here, the neighbor will be 0 or 10, which are not numbers we can place in today's grid. So essentially, aside from 4 and 5, the others, 1 and 8, 2 and 7, 3 and 6, essentially have a high digit and a low digit. So that means this is back to purple, this is purple, and therefore this would have to be orange. On a black Kropke dot, I also am not allowed a 5. So if there was a 5 on a black Kropke dot, half of 5 is 2.5, that's not even an integer we can write, and double of 5 would be 10. So this would have to be the same polarity, as in whether it's high or low, as whatever this cell is. Right. I'd love to say we're getting somewhere, but I'm not sure that's true. Oh yeah, of course, the 12, little killer clue, this is going to have to be purple. Because... no, not purple, orange. Two cells that add up to 12. There are 3 ways of doing it. 3, 9, 4, 8, and 5, 7. Oh, I can actually place a 5 in here, which is a bit of a shame. So let's have a think about this. One option is this orange. Essentially, if this is high, this is low. Another option is it's gray for 5. It's quite an important distinction because the black Kropke dot here, yeah, this is tricky now. I'm going to have to plug in some numbers. I was hoping that by going through this systematically, we're going to be able to do something. Right, so the odd digits, let's say this is 1, 3. As in purple is low as opposed to high. This here couldn't be 6 because that would need to be another 3. Could be 7 next to the 1. In fact, it would have to be 7, and this would have to be 2. So this is definitely one way of this working. Something as follows. Now, this would require 8 or 9. I think it's going to have to be the 9, essentially to be 5 or more away from the 3. This would need to be an 8. This would be a 4. And these two now are going to be 5, 6. So certainly purple being low has worked. I'm going to just replicate this somewhere so I don't have to kind of re-deduct it in front of you. 7, 2, 3, 5, 6. And then I'm just going to remove it all except for the colors, just the digits. Then we're going to try the other option, which is that this is 7, 9. This would be a high digit. Inside the 9, this can only be 6, 7, or 8. 7 is not going to work. 6 looks like it would work with a 3. 8 looks like it would work with a 1. I don't know, does 3 get me in trouble here? Let me just think. 6 would require a 3, then this would have to be 1, this would have to be 2, this would be 4. And then this would be the 9, the 7, sorry, other way around. To allow this to work. I still end up with the 4, kind of long story short in here. Could I have reversed this with 7 in here, which would force a 1, which would force an 8, force a 9. Now, with the 1 not available, this essentially would have to be 2, 3, 4. 4 wouldn't work. So it'd be 2 or 3. 3 in here. I feel like I'm missing something. 1, 8. Of course, I have ignored the 12 cage. That would have been 4. So in my example, earlier with the lower digits, that wouldn't have worked because the 2, 5, 6 doesn't work. That doesn't add up to 12. So purple is definitely high. And I'm willing to replace it. And orange is definitely low. 4, 8 works. 3, 6 in here. 2 wouldn't work anymore. And this would have to be 6 and this would have to be 5. So that certainly works. So I'm going to copy it one more time because there was another fit out that I hadn't carefully checked, the 12, where this was 9, this was 7. Now, from the remaining digits that can add up inside here, that would be 6 or 8. 6 is tricky because that would be, no, 6 is fine, isn't it? 3, 1. 6 doesn't work because, of course, of the 12. So that was never going to work. So 6, this would always have to be 8. This would always have to be 1. And therefore, this would have to be 4. Yeah, 6 doesn't work. So this is, yeah, this is 4. This is 8. This is 1. The 7 and 9, let me come back to that. And this is 4. And then the 5 is another, sorry, 4, and the 5 can only be in here. Now, essentially, I've covered all of the high digits, so that's definitely going to be, sorry, low digits, so that's definitely going to be 3. This is definitely going to be 6. And this, definitely 2. Now, the 7 and 9, I don't think are resolved, actually. I'm allowed to have a 7-9 pair in here. The 2 is far enough from either option, as is the 1. Right. Sorry for the long break-in. This palindrome, these two cells are the same. That's kind of all I can say at this point. There's like arrow sums that I can see peeking through. Yeah, so I think this 1, 2, 3 cells are on an arrow sum that you can just about make out leading into this circle. So if you think around the fact I already have a 1 in here, sorry, a 6 in there, the only real option that works is a double 1 with an 8. I don't think anything else will work. So I'm going for it. That's a 1. That's an 8. Obviously, I can remove these reference pencil marks. We don't need them anymore. This is 7 or 9, which gives me a 7-9 pair in row 7. We're going to have to come back to this magenta in a second. Now, light orange, which is what I'm going to describe this is, has to oscillate between odds and evens. So this is odd, this is even. It's not 8. This is 2, 4, 4, or 6. I'm quite comfortable, actually. Whichever option I pick, there is literally no other odd digits other than the one that can see this cell. This one here. Oh, hang on. This is definitely going to be an even digit, looking at the parity line. And it's not 4. 2 is too small. This is 6 or 8. Now, that doesn't entirely help us. So to get to 6, I would need 1, 2, 3. A 2, 3 pair here looks totally reasonable. And 8, I have 2 options. 1, 2, 5 and 1, 3, 4. And essentially the 4, 5 in here would mean the 4 and the 5 options in there are on this side. The remaining ones, the 2 and 3, are staying in here firmly. The 6 and 8 in there would give me another 7, 9, so I end up with a 7, 9 in the column, similar to the 7, 9 in the row. It can't be a 5 because I've already placed it. Interesting. I don't know where this is going, by the way. I'm as curious as you are. But hopefully I'm not going to make this as hard as I made box 9. So let's just think about this renban. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells. Thing is, I don't know how much further it is, so I can't really remove any digits here. The main thing that I'm obviously noticing is that I can't place an 8 in any of these cells on this renban. I'm also going to say this 7, 9 are the same, because essentially they both look at the same 7, 9. So I'm allowed one of the 7, 9s on this renban. Now with all of these white dots, I'm kind of trying to think about that one specifically. 1, 2, and 3 all can see these two cells. So, I'll give you an example. I'm fairly sure I cannot put a 4 in here because I'll be surrounded by 3 and 5, and then I would break both options for 6 and 8. All three options, in fact, the 1, 2, 3, the 1, 3, 4, and the 1, 2, 5. So I'm kind of noticing this cannot be a 4 either. 5 is also tricky. No, that could be 4, that could be 6. And then I'm certainly forcing this to be, actually no, that's tricky. You see, because that would force, since I'm not allowed 4 on 5, this would be 1, 2, 3, and this would be another 6. And then obviously I've broken the puzzle. So this is actually a relatively high digit. It's from 7, 8, or 9. It cannot be 8. It cannot be 9 because that would be a double 7. So that's definitely 7. I've clearly made an error here because the fog hasn't revealed anything. Just gonna, no, this is definitely an 8. Right, why is it not 7? So it can't be 9. I think that's obvious because that would be double 8. 8 would be repeating on the renban, which is not allowed. Digits along a magenta renban form a set of consecutive non-repeating digits in any order. 7, which we've just shown doesn't work. I haven't considered 6, have I? Yeah, I jumped straight from 5 onto 7. That's the problem. We're going to have to kind of prove that 7 doesn't work in a second. So what would happen here is I would end up with 5 and 7 as neighbors. That would be 9. That would be 8. With the 5 gone, this would have to be 1, 3, 4. One, 3, 4, and therefore this would be the 2. So that's essentially a setup if this is 6, which actually looks fine. Kind of regretting that I didn't actually check it and I jumped straight. Now, what was wrong with 7? Can we disprove it somehow? Yes, of course, I made the mistake of thinking the neighbors are something other than 6, 8. And you end up with 3 sets of 6, 8. That's not going to work. So that's an easy one that I've totally missed. That's fine. 5, 7, 8, 9. And now this has to be 3, 4 because 5 is not available. So 1, 2, 5 is not going to work. This is the 3. This is the 4. This is the 2. This is not 8, nor that could have been. This is not 1. That's more important. That's 4. Now my options are 3, 2 or 5, 6, both of which seem to work. This 9, of course, gave me 7, gave me another 9 in here. This heart, finally, we see the heart in the fog. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cells. We need all of the digits 1 to 9 once each. I see the digits 8, 4, 6. So I need the digit 2, which isn't in here or there. It's in one of these two cells. I'm going to pencil mark these. 1 is not in either of these, nor any of these. It's in or that cell, so 1 is in here. I also need 3, which is not there. Oh, this can't be 2. This is, remember, an odd digit. That is 3, 5, or 7. And that's allowed, because I've only got a 5, 7 in here. That's fully pencil marked. This is also an odd digit because the 2... Why is that not allowed to be 2? Kind of removed that as an option, haven't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. That could be 2. It's not 1. It's not 3. Can't be 4. To be fair, it could be 5. It's not 6, 7, 8, or 9. Okay. This is 5 or 7. 3, 5, or 7. And this is still... Oh, this is not 1. Only place for a 1 now on this heart is in here. Okay. These two cells I still need to complete. Thing is, they feel like they have a ton of options, so I'm actually genuinely tempted to skip it for the moment. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. 4. This can't be 1. Could be 2, leading to a 6. That is not possible, because we'd break this cell. So I could go higher. 4, 3, 7. This would be 5, 6. This would be 3, 2. That looks achievable. Obviously can't repeat the 4. And 5 is my maximum, isn't it? That would have to be 5. That would have to be 9. Can't go any higher than that. To be consecutive next to the 5, that would be a 6. So I end up with a 3, 5 pair, a 2, 6 pair. That gives me 7 and 5 in here. That means no 5 there, no 5 there on the renban, so that's got to be 2. Now, the rest of this renban, I've covered all of the even digits, haven't I? Yes. So I've got 2, 4, 6, and 8. And of the odd digits, I have 1 and 5. So the remaining cells are all from 3, 7, 9. 3, 7, 9 in here. That is not a 7. Right, the 8 can only be in here in box 5. And this is another 7, 9, except it's not 7. That is 9. That is 7. That is 3, 2, 5, 6. And it actually hasn't removed any option in here, interestingly. Of course, that 7 gave me a 9 there earlier, and therefore that's 3. And the only place now left for a 9 on this renban is in here. This is now 7. This is now 6. Lovely. We're flipping parity on this line. It's not 1, 9, or 7. This is 3 or 5. Nothing in the column to help. 6 cannot be here. This is, 6 is already placed. 4 cannot be here. This is 4. This is another 3 or 5. It's not 5. That's 3. That's 5. Flipping parity again, not 2 or 8 or 6. That can only be a 4. Let's pencil mark the rest of this row. That's 1, 5. I'm going to pencil mark the whole lot, actually. 1, 2, so 3, 6, 8. And in here, 2, 7, 9. Now, 6 is not going to work. That can't be 1. 8 with a 2 works. 3 with a 9 would work, not a 7. Remember, this oscillates. This can only be a 1. That's 5. This has to be a high digit. Can't be 6, otherwise it would be double 1. So that's 8. And then that has to be low with 2. That's 9. That's 3. That's 6 and 7. Lovely. Flipping parity again. It's not 1, 3, 5, 7. That's 9. Flipping parity one more time. It's not 6 or 8. 2 or 4. You can see the parity continues here. This is an odd digit. That is not 1, 5, 9, or 7. That is 3. Am I going to keep going? No, because it gets a bit silly now. Don't have enough digits yet. Let me just do a bit more Sudoku. I need 8 and 5, I'm going to say. Dark orange was Dutch Whispers, and therefore that can't be 5. That has to be 8. This has to be 5. This is another renban. Actually, let's use this kind of Dutch Whisper line. It's not 5, 7, 9, or 8. To be 4 or more away, that can only be a 6. 6 and 8, so there's definitely a 7 somewhere on here. I'm going to pencil mark, sorry. What do I need in there? 7. This is 6, 7. Can't repeat the 6 on the renban. That's 7, that's 6. And then I either have a 9, which I don't, so I have a 5. That's not the 5, that is the 5. Now the rest of this is 1, 2, 4, not 4. Hang on the renban. How did you miss this, Sleuth? 8, 7, 6, 5. That has to be 4. 2, 1, not 2. Still 4 or 8. Let's carry on here. This is not 6, not 4. This is 2 or 8. This is an odd digit that is not 1, 3, or 5. This is 7 or 9. This is even. That's not 2 or 6 or 4. That is just placed. That's 8. That's 2. Odd digit. I mean, I'm probably should be pencil marking these. I will pencil mark these. This is, what, 2 and something. Well, the 2 is in here because that's an odd digit. That is 7. This is an odd digit again, which can only be, oh, that's 1, 3 pair. Can't deduce that. This is an even digit. That is not 2 or 6. It's 4 or 8. Rest of this is 4, 8, or 5. That's not an 8. In fact, that 7 gave me a 9 in here, which is lovely. Back to even, not 4 or 6 or 8, that's 2. Back to odd, not 7, 9, or 5, this is 1, 3. So we end up with a 1, 3 pair. And we should definitely do a bit of Sudoku. So 4, 8 pair. I need a 1 in this row, can't be there. I need 7 to complete it. That gives me 3. 1, 3. So 4, 5, 6. That's 6. That's another 4, 5, but it's not 5. It's 4, which gives me 8. 4, 5, 8. And then just a whole bunch of digits to complete this. I need 6, which can only be in there. 7 and 9. I need 1, 4. That's 9, not 0. And if I've not made any more mistakes, that's 5 for the finish. It's a fairly involved puzzle for sure. I think mixed feelings. It's a good construction, good idea. I just feel like there's an overwhelming number of rules. Let me know in the comments, and I'll be on the lookout for that in the future again. Thank you, Carmen, for the puzzle. Hope you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video. I know that you are big fans of Fog, and I'll see you back for the next one. Bye-bye for now.